Good morning, Lorenz. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Voltaire. Good morning, Blackfire. Good to see you guys. Hope you're doing well. I like Blackfire's message. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. All right, well, we're back. Back for more of the same. I'm nothing if not consistent, so here we go.
I'd like to say something.
Sticks out tongue and makes a raspberry sound.
That's what made me laugh. It sounded like we were kids on the playground again. I'm first. Nuh-uh. Good morning, Armin. Long time no see, man. How are you doing? Hopefully life is treating you well. Let's see, we need NeoVim here. We need the NVIMs. We need the NVIMs over here. NVIMs. And we'll rename this tab to NeoVim. Let's see, the process cannot... Oh. I've never seen that error before. And then this is going to be where we have our terminal. And then over here, we will run Aspire. Can't be better? Well, that's awesome, dude. I'm really glad to hear that. I know things were a little tumultuous there for you. So I'm glad to hear things are looking up. All right, rename this terminal. Rename this one Aspire. Cool. And then let's go ahead and...
I'd like to say something.
Sticks out tongue at end makes a louder raspberry sound.
Elon interview from a few weeks ago. It's kind of interesting. Let me see. Let's see. Here we go. How long is it? Oh, it's an hour. Okay. It's an hour-long interview.
To not a super distant point, 5 years from now, 4 years from now maybe, we'll have better medical care than anyone has today available for everyone. So this is actually, and frankly, if this doesn't happen,
I hate myself because like I'm just so skeptical. Like when I hear shit like that, I'm just there's a part of me that's just like, I wonder if this dude's ever been in a hospital before. Like, I wonder if this guy has ever had to actually seek medical treatment in a normal situation without being worth a bajillion dollars. I don't, I love that. I would love if that came to pass. That would be amazing. It just seems a little hyperbolic. You know? You understand what I'm saying? I hate being the pessimist. It's long but touches a lot on AI. Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah. I think that might be the same interview where he said you don't need to save for retirement. I think that might be the same interview. Good morning, Lynx. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. How's life? All right. So the question for today, or the question this morning, is what we're going to try to get done today. Let's see, where we left off yesterday was we had just gotten the front end plaid connection to work. So I guess we'll keep going on that. What's this say? Failed to start? Why'd you fail to start? Are there any logs for this thing? Not from the front end. Okay. Waiting for resource web installer to complete. Has entered the finished state with exit code 1. Okay. Go back. Web installer. Can we see logs from that guy? There you go, console logs. Let's see. Well, we have a dependency conflict? What? That doesn't make any sense. Good morning, Rostad. How's Argentina? Hope you're doing well. His point is it has to become his point is it has to become, or why can't I read your sentence? His point is it has to because the rapid increase in AI workers will shift how economies are centered. Yeah, but like, where are the AI workers? The thing that's like I don't understand. Like, where are the AI workers? Like yesterday I made a post yesterday that said LLMs have not measurably had a positive impact on my quality of life. If you took LLMs out of the world, my life looks exactly the same. So it's like, where is all this AI stuff? I don't see it. I don't see the impact of AI. Good morning, Lynx. Good morning, Melty. Good morning, D. YouTube doing something which blocks chat when I think you're running an ad block and premium users are affected somehow. Oh, weird. Arvin, phone's gonna die. Bye for now. See you, Arvin. Walter, Oxford, can you show us what you're building? Yeah, I can show you guys. Good morning, Walter. Good morning, Clay. Walter, live platform changes. What is live? What does that mean, Walter? All right, what do we got here? We have fixed the upstream dependency conflict while resolving view. Found ESLint plugin dev ESLint from the root project. Could not resolve peer so npm install. Huh. This literally was not a thing yesterday. We dev'd on this project all day yesterday. I don't understand. I don't understand. How's the coffee this morning? This coffee is great. It's great. It's delicious. Unbelievable. Life-changing. No, it's good. It's good like normal. Alright, I'm just going to remove node modules. Okay, I have no idea. Just slap a force on it. Just Voltaire. It's helped me learn things I've struggled with, still based on good sources, but just filtering things to answer my specific questions and reduce noise. Well, I mean, who doesn't like how helpful LLMs are? But what I mean is like LLMs have not made that significant of an impact on my quality of life. I mean, they haven't fundamentally transformed how cheap it is for me to buy groceries or how quickly I can get my work done or any of the things that supposedly like so that's why I'm skeptical of when people say in 4 to 5 years we'll have the best medical care that's ever been available to everyone. I'm like, I don't know about that, bro. That's why I'm skeptical. Um, I still don't think that's going to fix my Aspire issue. Yeah, damn it, man. I'm going to have to figure out why this unresolved conflict thing is happening. This is so annoying. I have to say, this is really, really annoying. What would have changed between yesterday and today? Is your PC broken? No, it's not broken. We just see Meld Studio
Did we just
background.
become best friends?
Oh, weird. I don't know why that's... Oh, it's almost like my display's flipped. Hold on, let me see if I can fix that. Let's see. Yeah, that's really confusing. Thank you for pointing that out, Walter, because I would have just kept on streaming forever not realizing it was like that. Let's see. There we go. Huh. That was weird. It's almost like it was stuck. Whoa, that's really wild. I was so, yeah, sorry, I was confused. I was so confused. Is it just me, or is AI talking on your stream? Which person's an AI? Who do you think's an AI? I'm glad Walter said something because I had no idea my screen wasn't showing correctly. This is the issue I'm struggling with. NPM things. See, I wish the impacts were all good, but the robots are scary good. It's going to be mass production and cost, so the first good bits we might not see. They will be in the manufacturing facilities making more robots. Yeah, Voltaire, I think I'll be long dead and in the ground before robots ever become a major thing in everyday life. I think the technology is way further away than what people are saying it is. And I think public sentiment towards robots is far away from where it needs to be to have that large of an impact. I heard AI voice. I thought it was AI. Oh, weird. No. If you heard an AI voice, I don't know where it came from. Weird, dude. We're having weird stream issues today.
I'd like to say something.
AI voice? I hear no I voice.
Oh well, maybe that's what you're talking about, Clay. The speech to text. Yeah, maybe that's what you're talking about. Bro, copy the code into AI. Easy fix. We could try it. I don't know. I don't know if AI is gonna get this one. This looks kind of messy. We can try. I was trying to read up on the conflicting dependencies. We'll even use the pro version of Gemini. See what it says. Okay. I'm going to do, before we do anything they said, real quick, I'm going to remove Opus 4.6 is the best. Oh, I completely forgot who Walter was. Walter, you're the guy that was in my stream the other day rage baiting me, aren't you? Hey, man. If you and Opus or Opus are happy, I'm glad for you. I'm glad for you, Walter. Okay, so that's still an issue. Did you have Claude Code for your daily coding tasks? No, I do not use Claude Code for daily coding tasks. No, sir. I don't really use AI at all for coding tasks these days. I have left this in the past. Steven, can I do it the old-fashioned way? Yeah. I don't know why. Fix the upstream dependency conflict. View ESLint parser 10.4. Well, it's weird. What's weird to me is this changed overnight. That's what's weird. Huh. So I think I have the latest version of all these things. We have ESLint version 10. Okay, cool. We have Prettier. I'm not sure what the Oxlint plugin does. We have View. This is a really old version though of ESLint plugin View, it looks like. npm ESLint plugin View.
I'd like to say something.
My bootloader is hurting my Brian.
Bye bye, Walter. I think Walter's kind of an asshole. I don't got time for assholes. I don't got time for it. My bootloader's hurting my brain. Yeah, I couldn't write a bootloader, man. I can barely figure out npm. So a question, why did it install such an old version? That's what's weird. Why are we looking at such an old version of... Why does it keep saying found ESLint plugin 4.7.1? That is not a thing anymore. Maybe because we need to remove node modules, maybe? What's up, Hypermenu? Good day, sir. We're currently doing battle against npm, so welcome. Well, this is taking longer to install, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess I could have also looked at... Maybe I accidentally made a change to this yesterday and didn't realize it.
I'd like to say something.
A battle that shall be remembered for ages far away. Steven versus NPM.
Yeah. Are there visual ins in JSTS? I don't know what are visual ins. I'm not familiar with that. View test utils.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, like it bumped a bunch of things down. I don't know why it did that. Did someone just sub? I just missed somebody subbing, didn't I? Gosh dang, I'm all over the place this morning. Hello, Ryan Gosling, Steven. Can I see we are installing a lot of bloatware from npm? Yeah, damn it. Yes, we are trying to do battle with all my npm packages currently. Jason Lynn, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate it. Let's see. Where did we end up here? Yes, this is where we're back where we should have been. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it and I'm going to reset these. So this says ESLint config TypeScript 4.7, that's correct. View test util should be this 227. Crap. Somehow I've... Oh my goodness. I've somehow screwed up my NeoVim. What is that TUI? You mean this thing right here? This is a TUI called bottom. If you type exclamation point BTM in the chat, it'll hook you up. Virtual envs. Oh, do you mean just in JavaScript and TypeScript you use
Welcome to the
virtual
party,
envs?
pal.
No, typically not. Hypermanu, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate you. No, typically you do not have to use virtual environments. Ryan, for some reason I can't watch the streams from Twitch because I still haven't been able to verify my phone number. I think Twitch engineers have some skill issues, man. I'm stuck with YouTube. Well, you're free to watch wherever you'd like to watch, you know? Like, you don't have to watch any place specific. I'm going to try to fix my... Actually, I'm just going to use a tool for this. npm outdated. Or, what is it? npm update? There's a tool that allows you just to update all your... Yeah, npm update. Okay. ESLint plugin view playwright. See, this isn't right because it was 251 and now it's saying it's... Huh. Okay, I'm gonna throw out all the changes to the package, Jason. And I keep clicking on the freaking... Man, I'm getting frustrated with myself right now. Hi, I have a question. I do not code at all, but I really want to play DayZ Stalker server, but the guests are all in Russian. Is there a way to change the coding files to get everything to come up in English and not Russian? I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Probably not. Unless the developers have built like resource files. Like in C# you can do resource files where you have like an English set of strings, a Russian set of strings, a French set of strings.
Did we just become best friends?
Boo, I can't say your name, but thank you very much for the subscription. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm currently going through it right now. Thank you for that. Of course, yeah. Sorry I couldn't be more help, man. Okay, we're going to get rid of the package JSON changes. And we're also going to remove node modules. We're going to remove package lock. Then we're going to go back here and we're going to take a real hard stare. And we're just going to make sure all of these things are as they should be. So that's right. Okay, that looks good. Now we need to npm install that thing again. And I think this puts us back to where we were yesterday. I'm not sure what I screwed up, but I screwed something up at some point between the end of stream yesterday and the beginning of stream today. I've never seen anyone use Aspire with React. What has been your experience with it so far? So I'm using Vue, not React, but I am using Aspire to help me orchestrate the front end and with the back end, and it's great. Yeah, I've used it a couple times like this, and it's very good. Aspire is a very, very good tool. Okay, now let's go to our home view. Let's see, where's Aspire here? Well, Gemini, you were of no help, so thank you very much. So we'll start. Okay, it only took us 30 minutes, but we're finally back to where we were. Good morning, Omanian. Lawrence, how long did it take you to learn NeoVim? I think I've said this before, but it probably took me about 3 weeks before I felt like I wasn't tripping over my fingers so much. And I still have tons to learn, right? Like I'm like a white belt when it comes to my Vim Fu abilities. Like I'm still getting better all the time. Okay, here we go. Steven, password. Booyah. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to handle the success callback from plaid. So right here, instead of just saying console.log success, we should be saying call my backend with the public token is what we should be saying. And why are you complaining? Next is defined but never used. Oh yeah, you are right. Nothing in npm works, man. Once you see for sure, you know you'll break something that will break something to break something. It is recursive. Yeah, it's easy to get yourself twisted up in a knot, isn't it? GTA 5 versus Red Dead Redemption 2. That's a no-brainer. Red Dead Redemption 2. If you've played either of the Red Dead Redemption games and those games didn't have an impact on you like Halo 3, you must not have played the game. So yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not even a question. Not even a question. All right, and I think something gets passed to this, and I don't know what it is. View link plaid. Let's see, on success. Public token and metadata. I think we just need the public token for the moment. So let's do public token. And we'll just console log this public token. Good morning, Luke. GTA 5 with friends when it was initially released was undefeated. Dude, I just don't think Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, how can a sequel to an already amazing game be that good? Steven, do you play any games? I do play games, yeah. Mostly FPSs, a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Battlefield, lot of let's see, you can share contact info. So we want user, good, pass, good. Let's see, mobile. Oh, what's the security code I need to enter here? Plaid security. So user good, pass good. And then what about for multi-factor? You can trigger multi-factor, plaid support. Code for all devices is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There we go. And now we have our public token right there. All right, we're ready to go now. Woohoo! Good morning, Syed. Let's see, how did I get into software development? I really just out of my own interest and curiosity. Yeah. I guess actually what kind of sparked my curiosity was I came from a very technical background. Like before I worked in tech, I was a food scientist. So the same way that a lot of you guys are seen as like the technical folks in your industry as software engineers, that's how I was in my industry. I was the go-to subject matter expert on all things technically related to both our products and the equipment that we use to make our products. And so when I moved into tech, I really wasn't on the product side or the technical side of the house in terms of like the back end or like the actual software development side. And I heard a lot of people talk about these folks as if they were like some types of wizards, right? And so for me, I was kind of like, wait, I mean, I took organic chemistry in college. I have a degree in biochemistry. Like I can be technical. I am technical. This can't just be all just smoke and mirrors, right? This isn't magic, which then kind of led me to really want to dig in and understand like how does all this work? How do servers work? How do clients work? How are websites built? How do they pass information back and forth? And so I just started kind of picking at it and slowly over time learning. And the best way I felt like to learn was to actually figure out how to build software, right? And so that's kind of how I got involved in it. Was I just kind of thought, well, it can't be all this stuff can't be beyond me. Like I figured out equally complex things, so I'm sure I can figure out this. So that's how I got involved in it. And then as I got more and more involved in it, I found out that I really, really love it and really enjoy it. And I've just continued to pursue it. Luke, I also studied chemistry and now doing software. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Kim Bros. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's go to our institution. Let's see. Oh, actually, hold on. Before we do that, I need to figure out how we get a hold of the institution ID. That's the other thing I need to figure out real quick. So let's see if they give that back to us in the metadata. Platypus. Nope, that's not the one I want. think I just want platypus bank. User, good. Pass, good. Sounds good. Success, finish without saving. Oh, whoops, I think I closed the... There's the object. We have account ID. Cool. We have institution. Okay, so that's what we need. We want to drill into the metadata. We want to get institution and then institution ID. So let's go here. And we want to get, let's see, const. Let's see, request equals public token, and then we want institution. Yep, just like that. Cannot find public. Oh, yep. Okay, so if there's no institution there, I can't make this request. So if metadata.institution, we're in trouble. Yeah, if metadata institution is null, alert. Yeah. And then otherwise, we just grab it. And then what we'll do is we'll say await const res equals await fetch API / institutions / connect. Pass in this stuff, and we'll say, okay, we need a content type, or oops, headers. And those need content type is going to be application / JSON. And then we're going to say, I guess we say body equals JSON stringify the request. And then we do method is going to be post, like that. And then we're going to say if res.ok equals false. We'll do failed to connect institution. God, I cannot spell institution for the freaking life of me. I misspell that word every time. And then otherwise we'll just do console.log. Let's see, const data equals await res.json. I'll just log that out. Okay, I think that's all we need to handle the on success. So let's give that a shot now. So this will actually, if this works, this should actually put something in our database. So let's go back over here. Continue without phone number. User. Continue. Success. I need to fix that. Failed to connect to institution. Damn it. Let's see. It says 401. Oh, shoot. I forgot to pass my credentials. See, if I had actually used the client that I built, this wouldn't be a thing, but we need the bearer, no, authorization. We need this to be bearer. Let's try again. Do I use Axios for API calls? No, I use Fetch. I have a little wrapper, a little HTTP client that I built around Fetch that I use. But Axios is good too. I mean, that doesn't. I hope that doesn't come across as I think that Axios is bad. Axios is plenty fine too. I just think the Fetch API is good enough in most cases these days, in my opinion. Well, that's supposed to be user. Good. You don't use AI tools? That's crazy. No, I haven't been using AI much in my actual development environments, but I use AI quite a bit to like chat, get ideas, work things out, ask questions, get answers, that sort of thing. But I haven't been using AI much to actually code with. Okay, what have I screwed up this time? Failed to connect to institution. Okay, failed to load resource, responded with a status of 400. Okay. So let's see. One. Okay, I guess I need to have the terminal open here this time. It's so much fun without the robot driving. To me, it is. I know for some people it's not. I know some people are just really, really ate up with agentic development, which is totally fine. I have no shade to throw at you. It's just for me, it's not as much fun. The magical IT guys. Yeah, it can kind of feel like that sometimes. Is engineering a thing you are born with? I don't think so. No, I don't think engineering is something you're born with. I don't think most things in life are something you're born with. All right, let's see what this response says. Okay, for whatever reason, this is not. Let's see. Plaid institution ID field is required. Damn it. I gave it the wrong. We need plaid institution ID there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there are things you're born with that there's always going to be like a natural aptitude for things, like some of us, I don't think any of us are probably going to end up being John Carmack, but I think we can all be pretty good at most things if we set our mind to it, I believe in a growth mindset. If you never read that book by Carol Dweck, it's a great book. It's called Mindset, and it talks all about being able to have a growth mindset and the impact that has on you, and it's a good thing. Syed, are you using infrastructure as code? No, this will all just be deployed to a virtual private server. Yeah, so no infrastructure as code over here. Okay, cool. So it's already added that account before, which makes sense. So let's do, what do we want to do? Let's go to NeoVim. Or actually, hold on, let's open our database. Will you have a mobile version? Yeah, I think I would like to have a mobile version. I've never built a mobile app before, so that would be a whole new experience for me. But I think to make this application really useful for my wife, who's the other, there's only ever going to be probably 2 users of this app. But in order to make it really useful for my wife, I think having a mobile app would be very helpful because she primarily uses her phone as her kind of primary computing device. Could not open oh, weird. Huh, okay. Well, I'll just go straight to the source then. Yeah, so yeah, I think I would love to have a mobile app. It's just I've got to figure out how to build one of those. So I guess another learning experience is ahead for me at some point. But I think it would be great to have one of those. Where are we? We're looking for physical OS, API, and debug net 10. Here's our database. Institution. Yeah, there it is. So let's go ahead and delete this guy, and let's go through the flow from front to back and see if this doesn't work. So let's go ahead and delete you. Delete you, write those changes. Let's see, institution, let's delete you. Balance, nope. Account metadata, I don't think we have any accounts. Looks good. Got a lot of refresh tokens, we need to purge those. Okay, so let's try this again on the front. We need to write all those changes out. Okay. Nutty, if you C#, you'll love doing Android dev in Kotlin. Oh, really? Cool. That's good to know. I've never looked at Kotlin before. But I'd love to, yeah. I mean, I would probably start with an iOS app, honestly. I would prefer to pick a technology that lets me author once and publish multiple places. But if that's not possible, if you guys think it's better to use like the native development toolchain, I'm happy to learn both. But it would be great if I could just have, you know, author once, publish everywhere type experience. Hello, Sharat. Good to see you. Best plugin for NeoVim you suggest for development? Oops, I typed the wrong thing twice. Best NeoVim plugin. Probably Telescope. I mean, Telescope, I think everyone uses Telescope now that is in the NeoVim world, but that seems like one that really, really enhances your user experience as far as navigating around between files and whatnot. Failed to connect. Okay, I think we might be making multiple requests. Because I think it put it in the database. No? Okay. So what? Something's happening here. Alright, let's, real quick. Let's do alert, failed to connect institution. Go up here, let's capture the data. And regardless, let's console log the data here. Regardless. I don't know why this is failing. We have our bearer token. We're sending our request data in. React Native is the way to go then. There might even be some Vue cross-platform framework. I would be fine with learning React Native. I like writing React, so I'd be totally fine to use React Native. Random name, what's going on? I came for the coding, but there's an Excel doc up. Are we switching to finance? LOL. Is there an Excel doc? What? I don't see an Excel doc on screen. Okay, it worked. There we go. I'm not sure why it failed, but now it worked. Woohoo! So we got a successful response, which is empty right now. We'll probably want to pass something back, which is great. And then if we go look at our database, and we go to institutions, we should have one. First Platypus Bank. We should have institution metadata. Has an encrypted access token. Where is it? Yep, right there. So that's our access token to fetch other information. Cool. So it works. So obviously we have a ton of user experience shit to figure out, right? But now what we should be able to do is we should be able to display a list of institutions on the front end, and then we should be able to allow users to be able to connect accounts from those institutions. So we're going to have these be two separate processes. You connect the institution, then you connect which account you want. So let's go to NeoVim. And I guess on the home view somewhere here, we want to display, I guess, the institutions that are connected. So I'm just going to render all this stuff out. So we need a list of institutions. We probably want a list of institutions and their connected and their existing accounts is probably what we want. But let's just start with institutions. So we already have institution service. These are our plaid options. Let's come down here and let's just add a new piece of state. We'll say const institutions equals an array, a ref of string array. And we'll start empty. We'll come down here and we'll say institutions, whoops. Guess let's actually make this a UL. We'll do li that undetermined, cannot find. Oh, that's I'm trying to write React code in here. That's not what I want. I want I have to do the view. I have to do it the view way. So that is what is it? It's like LIV4 in institution, like that. And then in here we do the elements iteration, expect to have a V key. For now we'll just do I, that's fine. Okay, and then on mounted, we want to go and get the institution. So on mounted, we're gonna say. Actually, I don't even think I have an endpoint to do this. Now that I say this, I don't even think I have a backend endpoint for doing this. Yeah, I have an endpoint that gets me the list of accounts, but I don't have an endpoint that gives me the list of institutions. What was the purpose of the branch that we're currently on? Get branch. Oh, it was just to add login. Okay, so there's a lot more
Did we
here.
just become best friends?
Stuckinator, thanks for subbing, man. Appreciate that. Why do so many Vim configs have the line numbers relative? The reason so many, I think, people do that is so that you can easily figure out how many number of times you need to push a command to go somewhere. So, like, for example, if you're here on line 11 and you want to jump down to user ID, then you know you just need to type 10J to get there. So that's kind of the benefit of the relative line numbers, is it makes it pretty easy to go from, makes it very quickly at an eyeballs glance you can kind of figure out. Now I've heard people say, well, that's just as easy to do with like go-to, right? Or typing like 17, right? So I've heard people argue that's not really that useful, but I think that's why a lot of people have it set up that way. Good morning, Ryan. Good to see you. Let's see, I think he meant the SQL Explorer. Oh, yeah. This thing. Yeah, I was confused. I guess he was calling this an Excel spreadsheet, which I guess it kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet. But no Excel going on here this morning.
I'd like to say something.
When on line 5000 is easier to type.
All right. So we're gonna not do what I was planning to do. So let's stop for a second. Let's roll back these changes. Let's see. Let's go back here. Home view. Handle logout. Yeah, got it. Let's see, what do I want to do? Because I still haven't quite finished the login experience, and that's what this whole branch was about. I kind of got carried away. Let's do this. Let's go to the institution service. Let's update this so that it has a connect. So let's say async connect. Let's also define this on the interface. So we'll say connect which right now returns a promise that resolves to a result, which is nothing right now. Guess we'll just do boolean for now, and then an error if we need it. To try catch. We need more coffee. More coffee stat. Okay, let's go back to the home view. Let's extract out all of this logic here.
Voltaire's puppet is telling you to drink some coffee.
Sounds good. Let's do it. Let's drink it up. Transpose X. Do you prefer if we watch on Twitch or YouTube? Is there a monetary difference? Oh, no. Yeah, you guys watch wherever you prefer. I don't make very much money from content creation at all, so I'm not terribly worried about it. I think the only thing for you guys that might be beneficial is Twitch. I do have it set up on Twitch where you can use channel points for different rewards, and I'm happy to add other rewards to Twitch that are interesting to you guys. But YouTube doesn't really have that functionality, so like to do text to speech on YouTube, you have to do super chat or things like that. But on Twitch, you can just redeem your channel points to do text to speech. So that's completely up to you guys, kind of where you want to spend your time and hang out. But that's very kind of you to ask that question. Very, very kind of you. So thank you very much. Institution. So this needs to be public token. Okay. Now we don't need this check anymore. We can now do const request equals new client request with body. And let's add a new endpoint as well. So we'll say this is the connect endpoint. God dang, I hate that I trip over this word every single time. Over here. This endpoints.connect. And then this will be public token plaid institution ID that. Object literal only specify it didn't mean that. Okay, and then instead of all this stuff, we're gonna have const response equals await this dot client dot post request, and then we can say if let's also rename that to res just so we're consistent. So if res.ok equals false, we will return some errors. Otherwise, we're just going to return okay, true. Hey, what's up, Brooklyn? Yo, I'm back. Let's see. Haven't been on the stream for a while because I started my post-grad in data analytics. How's the project going? Dude, that's congratulations on that. You sound like a grown-up. Yeah. You sound like you're doing big things and I'm over here just tinkering on the internet. uh, no, it's going well. The project's going well. We're working on the front end a little bit here. It's slow goings, but we're having fun. Let's see. I swear I have burn-in for certain misspelled words. Always get them wrong, no matter how often I train. I think my LLM is immutable. Yeah, this is the experience I'm having right now with this word. Let's see. So yesterday I wrote a system that generates manifest files containing a list of key value pairs, which hold namespaces in their directories by shaking the directory tree and reading the first few lines of each file. In a second, that takes a list of function names, parses the namespace and file name from them, calculates the file path for each one, and then imports them into the calling Lisp routine. Nice. That sounds cool. Sounds like it was probably a pretty challenging little sticky problem you solved. That sounds cool, man. I used to have to import each dependency individually. Now I can import everything in one command. That's super nice. Yeah, big time saver. That's fantastic. Let's see, if res.status equals 400. Let's see, if res.status equals 401. If res.status equals 400, 409. Return different things, otherwise return okay. So if we are returning 400, that means we have a validation issue. And I already have a way to handle that. So let's go back to auth service. Over here. Need to extract that into a little helper method or something. Okay. And then for 401, I think we can do the same thing we're doing the auth service. But instead we'll say please sign in. And then for 409, this means we've already connected the account. You have already linked this institution. Which shouldn't really ever, I mean, it could happen. This could happen. This could happen. So otherwise, return it okay. I think that looks good. Now let's go back to our home view. And let's just replace our usage of that with this. So we'll say const result equals await institution service dot connect. Oh, whoops. Actually, hold on. I don't really want to replace all that logic. I want to replace this logic. So say const result or link result equals await. Hey, what's up, Command Bar? Good to see you. Yeah, we're almost at the weekend, man. We made it. We made it to the end of the week, which is exciting. That's always a good feeling, you know? Metadata dot institution dot institution ID. And we'll say if connect result dot error. We're just going to rely on our good friend alert. Alert connect result dot val dot map e dot message dot join new line like this, and then otherwise I guess nothing. Otherwise it's just like, okay, cool, where we connected it. Actually, we'll probably want to do something to trigger like a refresh of the list of institutions, so there's probably more work to do there, but now that's cleaned up a little bit. So async, yep, that's good. We still have to handle the log out, but we will do that in a later PR. Open, that looks fine. I really don't like this, but we can refactor that in a future PR too. We don't need this right now because we're not actually going to display listed institutions. We also don't need this. We don't need this. All right, so now we know that we can use plaid on the front end, so that's a positive thing. But the real point of this PR was, or the real point of this branch was to, let's see, the real point of this branch was to actually get the login on the front end. So we need to go back to the login form and we need to clean up the login form because we haven't done a lot of things to it to make it actually polished. So let's just add all this stuff and say feature web make things work. And then let's see, we did a setup login, setup basic login form, setup basic create link, or basic add institution. You watch Dragon Ball Z? Oh, dude, did I watch Dragon Ball Z? Dragon Ball Z raised me. I would do my best. I would do my best Super Saiyan impression, but it's a little loud for this early in the morning in my house. But yeah, for sure, I know all about Dragon Ball Z. My brother and me, that's how we spent most afternoons growing up. Was we would come home from school, we would get a snack, and then we would immediately go to the TV to watch Toonami. I don't know if you guys remember Toonami. Some of you might not know about that, but we would just watch like 2 hours of TV from like 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It was all Toonami. Toonami. Yeah. And that's where I learned about Dragon Ball Z. Gundam Wing was on there. Loved Gundam Wing. I thought Gundam Wing was probably like the coolest thing ever. I had all the Gundam Wing action figures. Yeah. Pretty baller. Good memories. Samurai Jack, Frieza, yeah, Frieza, Vegeta. We have to keep trying, Kakarot. Vegeta, he's too powerful. I actually saw a really funny TikTok the other day. My TikTok is full of Dragon Ball Z. Favorite character? I always really liked Piccolo. Initially, like when I remember when I first was watching the show, I used to think, man, Piccolo's such a dick. And then over time, he really grew on me as a character. Honestly, I really liked the relationship he had with Gohan um, throughout the show. But yeah, initially I thought, man, what is this guy's problem? And then I softened. I softened toward him. But Piccolo is pretty good. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Goku, right? Or Gohan. I mean, those are easy answers, right? Did you also watch Go DB? I don't know if I did. I've seen so much Dragon Ball Z. I don't at this point, and it's been so long since I've watched any of it that I don't even remember. Like, I don't even remember all the timelines and stuff. I've tried to get my kids into Dragon Ball Z like 2 or 3 times, and it just hasn't stuck yet. So I'm hoping at some point they'll sit down and watch them all, and we can all rewatch them together. Two-man army, is this Python? No, we were writing Vue. TypeScript is what we were writing. Sorry, I missed your comment. Is what we were writing. Let's see. I mean, the first one when he was a kid, when he meets Master Roshi and Launch. Yes, I believe so. Let's see. You called that Go DB. That sounds familiar. That storyline sounds familiar. Let's see. Dragon Ball. God, there are so many. Let's see. Dragon Ball Z timeline. I'm an adult. Leave me alone. So this timeline lists it in the order of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Daima, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, and I'm pretty sure I've seen them all. I mean, honestly, it would be kind of exciting to find out I haven't seen them all. Any reason you're using Windows? No, just preference. It kind of the origin story of Windows goes back a ways. Like when I got out of when I finished high school for my graduation gift, my parents got me a MacBook, and that was the first computer I ever had that was my own. And we always grew up with MacBook or Mac OS as our like our family operating system. Like my dad was the IT guy at our high school, and everything there was Mac. He had to work with Mac and Windows, but like he leaned towards the Mac side of the house, and so everything we had at home was Mac. And I used Mac exclusively from like what had been 2011 to like when I had my first kid in 2016. And then after having my first kid, when it was time to upgrade my laptop, I just couldn't justify spending, I don't know, at the time it would have been like $1,500 for a machine that had 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of SSD. And then when I looked at that amount of money, and I looked at what I could get for that amount of money on the PC side of the house, I was like, I'm a dad now. This is irresponsible. So I made the switch over to the PC side purely for economic reasons. And then when I started learning how to code, I was on Windows already. So and that's just kind of, I've stayed with it. And haven't had any issues. I mean, I know a lot of people knock Windows and Microsoft, but for me, it's worked perfectly fine. I use Linux a little bit. Like I use Linux to host stuff on servers, but I don't really use like a Linux daily driver, like a desktop Linux environment, really. All right, let's go back to the login, and let's figure out how we want to handle things here. So right now we're just using a basic form for our login. and all the validation right now is happening server side. So I think what we'd want to do is we want to add some client side validation to this. And so we need to pretty much redo the form for the most part. So let's add a piece of state here called, I'm just going to call it const form state equals ref. And I'm going to call this login form state. And let's go ahead and define a type for that. And we need to import this. That. I want to fix that. Well, Gotha, any reason why you're not using WSL? I find that to be the best of both worlds. So I have WSL set up on my Windows machine. I use it to support Docker Desktop, but I don't really use it much more than for doing like some...
Did we just become best friends?
Patricia, thank you. Patricio. Sorry if I butchered your name, man. I'm really sorry, but thank you very much for subbing. I really appreciate that. So I use WSL really just for supporting Docker Desktop and exploration. I don't really see a need to use it outside of that. Like I like PowerShell. If I was on a Linux machine, I would probably set up PowerShell as my default shell of choice. So I don't really have a need to do anything differently than what I'm currently doing. I know some people just like Linux, and that's fine. You can like Linux the same way I like Windows. I don't have any real reason to push me off of Windows onto Linux other than just to say I used Linux, you know, and I don't really care. I remember when my father brought home the Apple One, a solid 4 kilobytes of RAM. I can hear to boot screen now, bring on the floppies. Yeah, so I don't remember. So the first computer that I remember interacting with used floppy disks, but that would have been, I was born in 93. So the very first computer I ever remember interacting with was playing Doom on like a Windows 95 machine. And then at some point we got a Mac, we got like a Apple laptop of some kind or other. And then I was not, so I know for a lot of you guys, you probably were like ate up with technology even as children. That wasn't me. Like my childhood was mostly focused on being really good at sports. Like my dad was in IT, and so like I had Nintendo 64s and a Sega Genesis and a GameCube and an Xbox. Like we played video games and stuff, but as far as like computers and the web and all that stuff, it really wasn't in my zeitgeist. Like I didn't have a Facebook till I was 18. I didn't have a smartphone till I was 20 years old. I never had a MySpace account. Like none of that stuff was really in my world. And so yeah, like I don't like all the kind of fond memories I think a lot of you guys have of like old computing and things like that. It just doesn't exist for me. Good morning, Stefan. Good to see you. Good morning, Born to Shine. I refuse to use a Mac. No thanks. I will hack the system to run Windows. Really? I like Mac OS. I think Mac OS is very nice. Yeah, long time no see, indeed, Stefan. I hope you're doing well, man. I hope school's going well for you. Thanks again for continuing to be a member. I know you can't make it to the streams much, but I really appreciate you continuing to be a member, man. Ever hit update and shut down on your Windows machine and all it did was restarting? No, I don't think so. Not that I remember, but it could have happened. I mean, I've update and shut down my Windows machine a lot over the years, so it's possible that's occurred. That's fair. I don't know much of PowerShell, but know more Linux commands and stuff, so it makes sense to choose one or the other if you know it better. Yeah, for sure. It's all preference. Like, if I chose to use ZSH on Linux, I would know ZSH real well, and if I chose to use PowerShell, I'd know PowerShell. So it's not really choosing. That's a big problem in the tech community is like choosing one thing somehow demonizes the other thing, and that's not the case. Like you can like Mac OS and Linux and Windows and PowerShell and ZSH. Like it isn't the zero sum game. Like the world can be a bunch of ands, right? So you can like all the things. Um, you can have preferences too. Like you can prefer this over that, but just because you prefer this over that doesn't make that bad. What 900 use laptop is better than the MacBook Air? Oh, I don't know, honestly. I mean, MacBook Air is hard to beat when it comes to like battery life. But in terms of like specs, I would guess for 900 bucks you could probably go a little further on the PC side. It's hard now. It's just trying to compare Mac laptops or Mac computer hardware now to PC hardware is just difficult because now Mac has their own silicon platform and everything. So it's not really an apples to apples anymore. It's more like apples to oranges. So it's kind of a difficult comparison to make. But the MacBooks are pretty insane at their battery life is really, really insane. Apple Silicon is outrageously overpriced and is sold on vibes alone because their performance can't touch Windows, Linux, or Android machines. Really? I've heard people say that Apple Silicon is very, very performant. But I've never used an Apple Silicon machine myself, so I can't speak to it personally. How old are you, King? I'm 32, so I was born in 1993. Stefan, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm healthy. The wife's healthy. My kids are healthy. We're very much, my wife and I talk about this sometimes. We're very much in this state of life where it's just kind of, it's routine, it's consistency, it's doing the same, not boring, but same ordinary things again and again and again. And that's just the stage of life we're in, saving money, raising our kids, trying to take care of our health so that we can age gracefully over time, doing work stuff, it's just, there's not much excitement to be had over here. Let's see, how long did it take you to get a hang of NeoVim, and how did you write your config? Like from a tutorial or just through self-exploration? So it took me about 3 weeks of using NeoVim every day or using Vim motions every day before I felt like I wasn't tripping over my fingers. Whoops, that's the wrong place. And then as far as what got me started on the NeoVim journey, well, actually, the Primeagen is what made me aware of NeoVim. But after like a year and a half or 2 years of watching him use NeoVim, what finally made me make the jump to using NeoVim was this course or this series of videos by Typecraft called NeoVim for Noobs. Let's see, this thing right here. NeoVim for Noobs, free course. So this was I watched all these videos in like one night while I was laying in bed. And I was like, okay, I think I can make NeoVim a viable alternative for my VS Code workflow. And so I sat down, went through all these videos, basically for the most part copied most of the configs that he demos in these videos, which now these configs are a little outdated because in Vim LSP config, which is a plugin that's used heavily in this series of videos, now you don't really need it anymore. You just use the built-in NeoVim LSP API. But still, a good place to start. And then this helped get me most of the way there for a lot of things on the JavaScript side of the house. But for the TypeScript, or for the C# side of the house, that was pretty much all self-exploration that I had to do to figure out how to make C# development work in NeoVim, because that's not a very common thing. There's, as you might have guessed, not a lot of people do C# development outside of Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. Microsoft deserves the hate, to be honest. Pretty anti-consumer lately. Yeah, I mean, they've made bad decisions for sure. So I won't disagree with you there. Transpros. I grew up in a farming town. Everyone judged you based on the brand of truck you had, and now that I'm in tech, it's the same, but with your OS or IDE. Yeah, it's funny how humans, no matter where you go, humans are humans transposed. It's the same. I see the same. I see. So I was, before I was involved in anything related to tech, I was deep in the fitness community, and yeah, it's the same shit. The same group of people that you find in the fitness world are the same group of people you find in the tech world. Like Arch Linux users are basically like the tech equivalent to CrossFitters. So it's funny. It's all human problems, and they exist everywhere. Yeah, we're tribal. Exactly, Ryan. We want to feel a part. We want to be recognized. We want to be included. 100%. Hundo P.
Did we just become best friends?
Luck Blay? I think that's how you say your username. Thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate it. And now we are going to bind some stuff here. So let's do name. I need to figure out how to give priority. Oh my gosh, that JSON schema LSP is ginormous. I once knew someone building a computer with potatoes, built a working chip and program, was thoroughly impressed. Nice. I hold no tech allegiances, only grudges. That's one. I guess that's one approach. That's definitely one approach. Okay, there we go. So let's go down here and say LSP start CSS. So what do we want to do? We want to bind to. How do I bind a value? I think it's just like this, right? Should be form state dot password dot username dot value. And this will be value equals form state dot username dot value. And then we can also use that in our handle submit logic. So instead of getting this from the form data, we can say give me form state dot value dot username. Like this. Wonderful. I'll keep the alert. This is fine for now. But we need to handle the errors. So let's put a little error message div down here. we'll say form state password password air class equals do the same thing up here, but instead of password it will be username. And then whenever we try to submit the form, let's do a check. Let's see, function validate. We'll say if how do I want to do this? I guess probably like I kind of hate doing things like this, but if is valid equals
Did we just become
false.
best friends?
Jayanth, thank you very much for the sub. Appreciate it. So I guess let's start with it's true, and then we'll say if username dot value dot trim. Whoops, form state. So if that is right, so if it's a white space, it's always the basic stuff. I don't know why I always second guess myself. So if that is the case, then is valid becomes false. And then we set, let's see. Set username dot state value dot username and what if I do, instead of this, what if I just do we'll leave that for now, just to test it works. return. Back to the form. Looks good. Probably need to style this, right? And then we want to be able to clear it when we type. So let's do function let's do function handle username input password input. See you, Artwork Studios. Good to see you, man. See you, Stefan. Have a good sleep. Yeah, the problem with the thing like base. Hold on, I missed. We're in a conversation about something. Let's see. I want to get into NeoVim because I dislike Visual Studio Code in the community, but I write a lot in C#. Was it quite a struggle to figure out the C# config? No, and there's actually, Rookley, if you're interested in getting into NeoVim and C#, I think if I was to go back and do it differently now, I would probably use this plugin. It's called easy.net. This is probably the thing I would point you at. This is where I would start with. Easy.net. Put that in the chat for you. Why would you dislike VS Code? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but I mean, everyone's entitled to their feelings, right? So if you don't vibe with VS Code, that's fine. I really do enjoy VS Code, but if you don't fuck with it, that's totally up to you. Let's see. I guess we'll have to build up our own programs these days. I tried Base 44. No thanks. I'm not paying for it. I'll keep being stingy and open my books. Yeah, that's actually a huge thing right now for me personally. When I look around and I see all the AI usage that's currently happening, is I think it's crazy the amount of money that people are claiming they spend to run queries against large language models, essentially. It's kind of unbelievable to me. People spending $200 a month, right? There's probably people right now who are spending more money on large language models than they are investing into their own retirement, and that's a fucking problem. It's just not good. Thank you. Of course, Rookley, yeah. Yeah, that would probably be where I would start if you're interested in getting away from Visual Studio Code. Wait, there's a VS Code community? Oh, for sure. There's a community around every tool. A Visual Studio community, the IDE, not Visual Studio community. Oh, you mean, so you're not trying to get away, get away from Visual Studio Code. You're trying to get away from Visual Studio, I think is what you're saying. I see. Yeah, I can feel you. There's nothing really wrong with Visual Studio, but it does feel like every time you load it up, it does feel like you're sitting down into the cockpit of an F-16. Like, there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of bells and whistles. So I totally understand wanting to get away from that. Okay, so I think if I do this, let's ask our good friend Gemini. Let's see. I am building a form in Vue which has some inputs. Whoops, also I paused my... See Artwork Studios, have a good day, man. Let me rephrase. I don't like Visual Studio Code, and I don't like Visual Studio Community because I'm looking at my project file, and there are just tons of scaffold files, and it's so overwhelming. Okay, so I understand wanting to get away from Visual Studio. I don't necessarily understand wanting to get away from Visual Studio Code, but you should do you. So if you're interested in getting away from those, I think NeoVim might be a good alternative. And if you're going to do that, I would look at that easy.NET plugin. I'm building a form in view which has inputs. These inputs are bound to a state object with the value directive. However, I'm also displaying an error when the however, I'm also displaying an error when the value is invalid, and I want to clear that error when the user enters new input. If I add a on input handler, can I still have value bound to the state
Did we
object?
just become best friends?
Kenny, thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate that. Or do I need to handle the value update through the input handler now? I didn't describe that very well, so I'll be surprised if it figures out what the hell I was trying to say. You can absolutely keep the value binding while using at input. You do not have to choose between them. There is a specific way to ensure your state stays in sync. When you use value instead of vmodel, you're opting for one-way data binding to keep the input and your state synchronized. Your input handler must perform two tasks: update the state, clear the error. Use vmodel with a watcher. Oh, I kind of like that idea. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. Okay. Okay. Well, I like the model idea, but so we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna say at input equals handle password input, and then same thing here. We'll say at input equals handle username input. Then we'll come up here and we'll say e. Is there such thing as like an input event? Input event? Yeah. Okay. And then we'll say, let's see, form state dot value dot username dot value. How do I get the target? So how do I view strongly type input event? Melty. What's on my mind today? Nothing much. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm glad it's the end of the work week. It's been kind of a busy week. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I hate that you have to cast it. I hate it. It's fine. Let's see. Input event. I guess there's really no value in using this then. We're gonna do Huh. I think I can dry that up, can't I? Let's see. How can I dry this up? Can I use the name or the ID? Probably dry that up. It doesn't need to be. This doesn't need to be repeated twice. I tell you what, building forms, like, it's just always painful. There's not really an elegant way, in my opinion, to do it. There's lots of libraries out there, but even those libraries are kind of ugly looking. Okay. So if we do log in, if I start typing, it should clear the error message. There's a bug. Typing username should not update password. Let's see this password value, handle password, username. Okay, that should have caught that error. Why didn't it catch that error? Validate form state. This is what you get when you're copying and pasting. Cool. And then if I start typing password, it should go away. Very nice. Now we just needed to style this. So let's go down here to validation. And let's do form error. So color. State error. State error, okay. State error. Let's see what that looks like. Or state error. Oh, I don't know if I like that color, but that's what we have, so we'll work with that. I built this whole palette around being like pastel colors, so I think this is kind of like a pastel red type of color. And then let's make this text a little smaller. So let's do font size. Let's do like 0.5 rem, something like that. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, so we have client-side validation now. The code is a little ugly, but that's fine. We can always clean up the code. We have errors now. We have client-side validation. We're still handling the login. We're validating form state. This is ugly. We probably should figure that out. We should figure that out. The form state's fine the way it is. Is there anything else I need to deal with? Oh, I know what it is. I know the other thing I need to deal with. So it's possible someone could come in here and like spam this button, right? So we should probably disable this while we're actually logging them in. So let's
Did
have...
we just become best friends?
Resizora? Sorry, I've been really bad with the usernames today. Thank you very much for subbing. I really appreciate that. See you, Born to Shine. Have a good day. I love how most of the fixes to code these days and throughout history are just building tools that do the code for you. What if I want it to be painful? What if I want to waste my time? Yeah, I mean, there are definitely times where like I just want to dig in and really figure things out, you know? And there are other times where I get stuck, and AI can be very helpful to get me unstuck. And there are, other tools that help me get unstuck. So, yeah, I feel you there, man. Ryan, here's a challenge for you. Write string split method that mimics the built-in split method in the language of your choosing in less than 10 lines. Oh, I don't know if I could do that.
Did we just become best friends?
Luck Blay, thanks for the follow on Twitch, man. I appreciate that. Front-end developers come to me and ask, that should be easy, right? Should take like an hour. Nothing makes me cringe more than the code is like 7 million lines of code. Yeah, I always think anytime you feel the urge to say that should be easy, you should stop and just put the words back into your mouth. Those words are often false. That statement is often false. Okay, let's do status. So I'll do status, and let's do well, actually, we probably just need a Boolean, don't we? Oops, not Boolean. Not Boolean. False. And this should be okay. Then we'll come down here and we'll say button. Let's disable this guy. Disable. So is logging. Oh, it's a form state. There we go. So if we are logging in, we want to disable it. And then we're just going to style this a little differently. So we'll say form div button disabled. And I think we'll just set the opacity to like 50. So let's do a little bit of testing here. We'll just set this to true so we can see the styles. Would you recommend NeoVim for Python? Yeah, I think you can definitely code in Python. There's actually another streamer that I see quite a bit in my feed named he's another Steven. And Stephen Blum is his name, I think. And I often see him. I think he's working in NeoVim. He might be working in another terminal-based editor, but he's doing some sort of terminal-based editing of Python. So yeah, you can definitely do it. I think the biggest thing with NeoVim is like, do you want to deal with Vim motions? You know, that's the big thing, I think. There we go. I've left out the percentage. Let's do 50%. But if you're fine with learning Vim motions, if you're okay with struggling through that experience of learning Vim motions, then I think you should be fine. What is it? Pointer what? Pointer. Actually, I think I want pointer events. No. Yeah, so now it's disabled. Okay. So then we'll come up here. We'll set this back to false. Then we'll come down here and we'll say, okay. First thing we do is set this back to false. Okay. So then as soon as we try to submit the form, right? So that's fine. That did that. But if we do Steven, let's also add like a artificial delay really quick. So let's do await new promise resolve. Hold on. How's this work again? Promise wait. Yeah, set timeout. That's what I want. So we want set timeout resolve, and then we'll do like 2000 milliseconds. Just add an artificial delay in there. Okay, so there's Steven, password. So you should see a login. But yeah, cool. All right, I think that's so. We did client side validation. We're handling the server side validation. We're removing the errors whenever they type a new input. We are disabling the login button while we're attempting to log in. We're redirecting when we're successfully logged in. We're displaying an alert whenever the server-side validation fails. We're resetting the form state whenever the login finishes. We have styling for our error message. We have style for our disabled buttons. I think that takes care of it. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Obviously the style, like we have styling and design issues everywhere. But I think functionally the form is sound. Cool. Good morning, Inspire. Good to see you. See you, D. Have a good sleep. If you want to build a snowman, go to NeoVim. I have no idea what that means. How was yesterday? Yesterday was good, Inspire. Yeah, it was good. What did we do yesterday? We worked on a lot of styling. We worked on the login. Oh, yesterday we got stuck on, what was yesterday's problem? Yesterday's problem was we brought in a Vue library to help us connect to the Plaid API on the front end, and I got tripped up by a piece of Vue reactivity where I was trying to update a nested property of a ref, and that was not triggering the library that we were using to recognize that a change had been made to the object, because it wasn't watching the state using the deep property that you can apply to the watch function. And so that tripped us up for like 30 minutes. And luckily for us, Jim and I helped us unstick ourselves from that one. So other than that, though, it was a pretty decent day. Spends all night coding, watching someone else code. I'm a full circle now. When I go to sleep, I'll be coding there too. Nice. Wonderful. Wonderful, man. Let's go get some coffee. Let's go get some coffee. All right, if some of you are going to leave, it's no big deal. I totally understand. You don't want to look at an empty chair, that's fine. But the stream literally runs on caffeine. So I'm going to go upstairs and get a cup of coffee. If you're going to stick around and hang out, great. Would love for you to stick around. This might be a good chance for you to fill up your cup. Otherwise, I'll see you guys like in a couple minutes. All right, BRB. All right. We're back. Here we go. Loosen them up. Oh my goodness. We're really rocking now. All right. Just gotta wake up the body sometimes, you know? All right, guys. I know y'all aren't gonna like this, but the thing that we should do next is we should extract this to a component and we should write some tests. I know you guys aren't gonna like it, but that's what we should do. So let's do that. I mean, we could also test the view, like we could test login view, but I think that doesn't make much sense. So let's go over here, get a login form. So for the most part, most everything can go. Yeah, most all this stuff can go. And then the view just kind of becomes like a shell for the form. I mean, if we were really a Giga Chad programmer, we would just make some sort of abstract form component. But I don't really feel like doing that right now. Seems like more complexity than we need. The Soviet nuclear launch codes are written in Lisp, and I have the last 3 pages. They look like this. Hold on, that's what every Lisp program looks like to me. just an endless row of parentheses. Let's see. You get over it pretty quickly, I promise. One of these days you're gonna incept me into giving it a try. Nice. Let's pull this out. Okay, and then it's complaining because I don't have login state. Take all the JavaScript stuff. I probably could have just copied this whole. Now that I'm doing this, I'm realizing I probably just could have copied the whole component or the whole login view into this login form component. It would have saved me a bunch of time. I barely see the. That's interesting. That's crazy to me that they fall away for you. Okay, the one thing I do want to see if we can't abstract out is this auth service call. So what I'm thinking is, can we have that be a dependency that we pass in? So if I say, instead of this, right? If I say, basically, if I say I need an auth service as a prop, right? Then what that means is that in my login view, that removes the network request, makes it a little bit easier to test this. So let's see if I can explain this in a way that's easy to understand. So if I remove all this stuff, and I just say, don't need all this. We just need a login form. And we're going to import the login form from at components slash login form.view. We can also do const user store use user. All right, so what I'm imagining is I'm almost
become best friends.
B-Dog, thanks for the sub. What I'm almost imagining is being able to pass in a function that replaces all of this. That way we don't have to pull in the store or the just have to pull in the router. No, we don't even have to pull the router into the component. So we say this isn't really the Vue way to do this. This is more the React way to do this. I think the Vue way to do this would be to expose an event. Basically, I'm trying to write the component in such a way that, like, whenever I'm writing my unit test, I can just pass in like an arbitrary submission function and just check that, hey, okay, when you click submit, we emit that event. We don't have to worry about actually testing like what action happens. We can let the caller provide that. And in React, the best way to do this would be just to pass down a function, but that's not really the Vue way to do this would be to do something like I think it would be something like this. You would do const emit define emits like this, or you could do that. And then, why are you complaining so much? Call signature which lacks return type annotation implicitly has return type any. Oh. Define emits TypeScript. The question is then at the top level, see, this is the problem. Whenever I get into this situation, this is the problem because I don't really want the outside world to care about like, if the outside world has to react to the submit event, then the outside world also has to care about the form state. Yeah, because then what you'd have to do is up here, you'd have to do something like this. You'd have to say, where's the login view? You'd basically move all your logic here, and you'd say, okay, at submit equals handle submit, and then here you'd have to just find an async function to handle the submit, right? And then you need to know, you need to have the form state. Let's see. Let's ask Gemini here. Do the function. Yeah, the function would be the simplest, but it's not really. It's not really the view way, I guess. But the function would be the simplest. To say, I just need an arbitrary function that you want me to call, and I'll call it in the body of the handle submit function. Let's see. I'm working through refactoring a form component in Vue. I'm wrestling with what the right approach is to allow the caller of the component to supply some additional logic that runs on submission. I'd like the form component to retain control over its state and validation of that state. However, I know it's not best practice in Vue to pass functions as props, but rather have the component emit an event that the outside world can respond to. However, if the form retains control of its state and validation, the outside world the event emitted and we use an event, it is kind of difficult. What are your thoughts here? Still no computer, should be here today. Oh, dude, that sucks. So your MacBook actually did shit the bed? That's crazy. Was it an old MacBook? Yeah, we want the smart internal logic to stay encapsulated, but you also need to allow the parent to perform asynchronous side effects. Exactly. That's exactly where I'm at, Gemini. You know exactly where I'm at. In this approach, the parent component handles the submission logic, but it only proceeds if the child form says it is valid. You keep the state inside the form and use define expose to allow the parent to ask the form to validate itself. The event with callback pattern. If you prefer the form to trigger the submission itself, you can emit an event that passes a callback or a promise. This allows the child to wait, for the parent to finish its work before the child updates its internal. Okay, define the submit. We emit and wait for the parent's listener to resolve. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I've never seen that pattern before. I've never seen that. Does this actually work? I mean, I'm guessing. I mean, it is an LLM, but I've never seen this pattern before. I've always seen stuff like this. But I don't want to have to hold on to a ref to the form. That's the thing. Interesting. Interesting. But see, the problem is that what is the problem here? So how do I pass the state? That's the thing. How do I pass the state? Okay, so I kind of like the event-driven approach where the child is waiting on the parent.
Did we just become best friends?
Dunya? Thank you for the sub, man. I appreciate that. Or girl. I guess I shouldn't misgender people, but thank you very much for the sub. No, it was an M1. I'm more just pissed off I lost my code in notes. I wasn't about to push some due to secrets and public repo. Oh, that sucks, dude. I'm sorry you lost data. That's the worst, man. Yeah, it's crazy that it's a pretty new MacBook, huh? And it just crapped out on you. Well, at least you got a new one. But yeah, you can't really, that sucks about the data, man. Let's see what, it's like, how do you pass the state? So child form, there's your state. Submit. Okay, how do you, but hold on. How do you type that the submit emit event has a particular state? Hey, honey. Good to see you. How do you type that submit event has a particular state associated with it? Let's see, just came across this channel. Is there any artifact we can see of the product? Good to see you, man. So there is a GitHub repo, but there's no like this is as far as the this is as far as the visual goes. There's only this form. There's this form. Oh, this isn't going to work anymore since I butchered the thing. There's this form and there's another view that has a couple buttons on it. So there's not much to look at from a product perspective. But if you want to look at the code, the link to the repo is down in the description. If you'd like to go take a peek, you're welcome to. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Let's see how this feels to me, because I think it's going to feel kind of weird, but it probably, I think, provides the best experience for what I'm after. So let's lift up this form state type, put that there. We will do define emits, submit form, and then we'll say this is type to login form state, like that. I don't know why you're complaining. Ooh, that's even nicer. Okay, let's do that. Submit. There we go. And then the idea would be then basically everything that's in the middle here, all this stuff, this would get lifted up to this view. We'd have to, I guess, publicly expose that, wouldn't we? And then, let's see, this would be form state dot username. That. And then we'd also need the router. Let's see, const router equals await use router. Doesn't need to be awaited. Okay, so the whole idea here, and I don't know if this makes any sense to anybody, but the whole idea here is that since this stuff deals with network calls and navigation and whatnot, testing it is a little bit of a pain. It's not impossible, but it just makes it a little bit of a pain. So if I extract this stuff out, now what I can do is I can just worry about, hey, whenever we click the submit button and the form is valid, then we can just make sure that we do actually produce the submit event. So this is where we'd say submit, and then we have to pass, let's see, form state dot value. Yeah. See, I think, did Gemini lie to me? Because I don't, did Gemini lie to me? Let's see if this actually works. We're still running. Okay, so let's go back here. So if we try to submit, we still get our validation. Good deal. We still clear it. I think that worked, but I don't honestly know if it did. Let's say we have the wrong.
Did we just become best friends?
Brahan, thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate that.
I'd like to say something.
The Gemini won't lie to you. It'll just hallucinate and tell you that as the truth.
It makes sense to me. Testing a lot of network-related things are a pain. Yeah, they are. I mean, it just kind of adds a layer of complexity that when you're testing a component you don't want to deal with. There are things like mock service worker that make it a lot easier, but let me try with the wrong password. What happens in this case? Yeah, see, I don't think this is actually disabling. It's no longer doing the disable thing. Let's see. Can you await an? Let's see. Gemini thinks you can await an emit. Where? Oh, here we go. Dealing with async returns. Okay, so it already knew that it was. That's hilarious. Okay, so let me see if this is. Let's see. Await. Let's see if that actually works. I don't think it works, but let's see. As unknown as promise void. I think what this means is we're not doing things correctly. We're kind of bastardizing let's see. This should be form state dot value. Form state dot value. Okay, so what I mean by, so let's do await new promise. Well, let's add that up at the top. So let's just add await new promise resolve, set timeout, resolve. Let's make it exaggerated. Should have just passed the function, shouldn't we? Yeah, see how this state is not changing to disabled? Like this should have some sort of style change happening. And it's not. See, if we remove this, if we say await new promise resolve, this is where Gemini can lead you down the wrong path. No, it's not really Gemini's fault. It's Steven's fault for listening to an LLM. See, now that state change is happening, and because we're basically like giving up, like, okay, we're done, the child component's done, it's executed its logic, it's submitted its event. Okay, so we have two options here then. We have two options here. We can emit the event. Oh man, I freaking hate this. Okay, that sucked. Your idea don't work because there isn't, because you can't actually really wait on the emit call. So anything that happens after
Did we
that
just become best
isn't
friends?
going to. Nathan, thank you very much for the sub, man. I appreciate that.
Did
So
we
anything
just
that
become best friends?
Auntie, thank you very much for the sub. Appreciate you guys. It's very nice of you guys to stop and sub like that. See you, Blackfire. Have a good day. Have you tried text wrap or limiting the line width? On what? Astor. Psh, who needs to do things correctly anyways? Yeah, dude, who needs to? Code's cool, but so is lifting weights. Oh, dude, lifting weights is the best, man. That's my first love. Well, first love is Kelsey, my wife, and then lifting weights. Hey man, what's up? What are you doing? Good to see you, creatives. It's been a minute. I'm currently in the process of building a personal finance app, and we're working on the login form. And I'm trying to come up with the best way to I'm basically like, I'm spending way too much time overthinking the API for my login form, but that's part of the fun of programming and coding. So it feels good when you get the code just right. So to me, there's really three options here. You can have the caller provide all the detail, right? So you can basically have the caller provide the handle submit function. The problem is, let's see, view, can parent mutate reactive child state? I don't think it can. We'd have to pass that as a prop. Yeah, see, that's the... I'd really see that this is the problem, because this is the problem with the situation, right? I want the form to be in charge of how we work with the form state. But I need the caller, the user, the consumer of the form to be able to provide some action, some asynchronous side effect that we perform as part of the form being submitted when it's valid, right? Which is why I think maybe it does make sense to just pass a function, but I don't think you're supposed to, I don't think in the Vue community that's like the way to go about it. Let's see, Vue passing funcs as props. How bad is it? Yeah, it's generally considered an anti-pattern because it breaks the props down, events up philosophy, tightly coupling components and complicating data flow. I don't know. I can't decide how I want to handle this. I know I'm overthinking it, but it's fun. Oh, hey, Pablo's here. This is the guy who will have the answers right here. Can't you pass a function as a prop? You can pass a function as a prop. Can't you emit an event from the child? Yes, you can emit the event from the child. So the question is, what's the right way? Time to binge, Steven. Oh, well, thanks for hanging out with us, Inspire. Appreciate you. Good to see you, Pablo. The cup of coffee with Pop-Tarts is ready. Ooh. Dude, Pop-Tarts, it's my kryptonite, man. I think Vue prefers the emit. Okay, so Pablo, can I rubber duck with you here for a second? All right, so here's my situation. I have a login form, right? My login form has some state, right? And the login form knows about how to validate that state. The login form knows how to use that state to do all the things with that state. The one thing the login form doesn't know about is it doesn't know about what exact side effects should be executed whenever the form is indeed valid, right? So basically, when we handle the submission logic here, we basically want to allow a caller to define this, right? So like the caller dictates what happens here, or the consumer, I guess, whoever is going to use this component. So what you were describing is what somebody else had mentioned too, was like, okay, well, let's just take a function as a prop. That's the easy solution. Like that will work 100%. But if we're trying to follow that Vue edict of like, well, don't take functions as props because that's not cool, what would be the right way to go about doing this? Because like we've already tried emitting an event here, right? The problem is when you emit an event, nothing down the control returns to the the consumer. So you no longer get to execute the rest of this logic down below here. And so yeah, so that's where I'm at. So now it's like, okay, so what's the right way? I guess what Gemini had suggested was Gemini suggested to expose the validate function. But that still doesn't help me with the logging in and logging out state changes that happen. So that's where I'm not really sure. I mean, maybe I should just violate the view philosophy and say, fuck you. I pass function as props. Come at me, bro. Wait, go to the try line on handle submit function and read the line number. It's important. Hold on. What? Go to the... Oh. Did that used to say 69 or something? Or 67 maybe? Is that what? Because right now it says 64. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know what the right way to do this is. The try is at 67? Yeah, there you go. A little Easter egg there. See if anybody can find it. Yeah, it feels like you either violate the view condition or give up some functionality. Exactly. So that's okay. So I'm not crazy. Emitting events makes sense to me. Yeah. All right. So if that's the case, if we're going to say, okay, we're going to emit an event, to me it makes sense that then the owner owns the state too, or the caller owns the state too, meaning the prop this component just defines the state it accepts. Right? So I guess what I mean by that is, to me, it makes sense for us to do something like this, where we say, where's login view? And we pull this logic back up. So we say, here we go. You come back to, I don't know why I do that. I always want to open NeoTree to navigate. It's a bad habit. So then we say, here we go. We no longer need this, but we do need, we don't need that. We do need this. I guess the validate form state needs to come up too. Does your finance app agentic? No, sorry, no agentic AI over here. So unfortunately, the VCs are not knocking at my door. Unfortunately, unfortunately. See, it just seems it feels to me then like there's not a ton of value of even having a it almost feels like there's no value to having a component at this point in a lot of ways, but maybe that's just I guess now the login form is just it's just a presentational shell type of thing. Oh, hold on. We still need to handle submit. Only thing that we do in it is we just admitted the event. So we just say emit submit. And we don't have any data associated with that event anymore. What about if I don't have any data? Let's see. View, define, emit, no data. TypeScript. Just do this. Okay. Yeah. And then you don't need this either, right? So can children mutate their parent state? I guess that's a good question. Can children mutate their parent state? View. They should not do so directly. But we basically just lifted everything out of this component to where it's like, what's the fucking point of having the component? It's almost like we should have just left everything the way it was. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like any of it. Dan. E-Ink, by the way, I think you're gonna... I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're trolling me. You subscribed and waited 5 minutes just to troll me? Or is Dan Hooker a real person? Oh, it is a real person. He's an MMA fighter. Yeah, I don't follow that world. E-Ink BDW. Dr. Lobenschot's refactoring. Yeah, unfortunately my refactoring has gone horribly wrong. I've wasted a bunch of time and ended up in the same spot. Unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to think on this one. Oh my gosh, dude. These people. Sent a link to what TanStack does. Oh, thank you very much. I'm looking. Let's see, basic concept. Thank you very much, Pablo. Let's see, visit site. Let's see. So we have form ops, default value, okay. Form instance, use form, on submit, pass in the ops, do something with the form data. You may also create a form instance without using form options. That's fine.
Did we just become best friends?
Thank you very much for the subbing. Steven Goes Sports Band. No, I banned that guy because he said watching sports is gay, which is not, which is not, that is not language I would tolerate from my own sons, and I'm not going to tolerate it from random strangers on the internet. So people can think watching sports is dumb, but we don't need to use derogatory words towards people who are of a particular sexual orientation. Or I guess the word isn't derogatory, but using it in a derogatory way. We don't need to do that here. Ink. That's not helpful at all. Sorry that guy said that. Yeah, I mean, some people are just lame, you know? Some people are just lame, and that's okay. They're allowed to be lame. They can go be lame somewhere else, you know? All right, so I like Tanstack's approach. Tanstack's approach is much more like what I had in mind, where they basically provide a hook, right, with this use form, this on submit parameter. Which is kind of like passing a function as a prop. So I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I think tomorrow when you come back, I will have refactored this. This is why React sometimes is so much better. This idea of just passing functions to other functions, and yeah, I kind of fuck with that. Let's see, on input is, oh, this is their view library too, huh? So let's see, how do they do it on the actual component? So form.field takes validators. So they're taking functions as props. That's what this is it not? I mean, that's 100% what they're doing. Or maybe I should just go use tanstack form. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna pass the function then, because they're doing it. I mean, if it's good enough for tanstack, it's good enough for me. Let's see, functions as props for validators. State receives the on submit. State returns components. Okay, if that's good enough for tanstack form, it's good enough for me. For real, I'm taking intro to web app dev right now. I realize I don't want to be a web dev, front end at least. No worries, that's okay. I mean, you wouldn't have known that unless you tried. So now you know, and you can go do something else. Pablo, if Tanstack does something, if Tanstack, oh my god, if I does something, you either do the same or use Tanstack. This sounds like a good. So it's no longer what would Jesus do; it's what would Tanstack do. I like that framework for decision making. Two-man army Bitcoin bottom, Steven. I haven't been paying attention to the Bitcoin. How low is it now? I know it's been crashing, but I don't know what's its current price. Let's see, Bitcoin. Oh, it's almost 7:30. Holy shit! I completely lost track of time. Wow, it's down to 67,000. Yeah, boy. Them Bitcoin boys, they're feeling it, man. Pablo, solid is cool. Cough, cough. We almost used solid, and we decided against it, but we almost did use solid JS. Yeah, I feel bad for them Bitcoin investors. Although, if you got in super early, like let's look at the 5-year horizon. I mean, look, if you've owned Bitcoin for 5 years, you're still a happy camper. And if you've been in Bitcoin for more than 6 years, man, you don't give a shit what's happening to the price right now. You know?
I like to say something.
6, 6, 7.
Thanks for that, Uncle Pee Wee. It's a valuable contribution to the conversation. Appreciate that. You're the man. Why not solid? Why not solid? I don't remember. That's what we did on Monday this week. Was it Monday this week? We looked at Solid.js, or maybe it was Friday. We went through the Solid.js kind of docs and stuff. I can't remember why we decided not to end up using it. I think it was just because I didn't want to learn something new. Like, I just wanted to use what felt familiar, I think was what we ended up deciding. I'd have to go back and look at the stream. My stock is going down as well. The SaaS apocalypse is hitting hard. Yeah, everyone's going to vibe code their favorite SaaS platform, so everyone's selling off, which is so stupid. Nobody's going to vibe code their own SaaS platform. Like, if that was true, why does OpenAI have so many SaaS contracts? You know, why doesn't OpenAI just vibe code all their SaaS stuff? What are you trying to build / fix? What I'm working on building holistically is a personal finance app, but what we were working on today was the login form, and specifically we were working on trying to figure out what's the best way to refactor the side effects that happen as a part of the login submission out of the form itself, so that we could write some unit tests that test the form logic without necessarily having to deal with calling some specific backend API endpoint, which is definitely something. You can still test components that have network requests in them, but sometimes it's really convenient and nice not to have to deal with the network request aspect or the side effects when you're writing a unit test. So that's what we were doing. We were trying to refactor out some of those side effects. It's not a solid framework. No, it looked perfectly good. Solid.js looked very interesting. I bailed on doing something new. Let's see, Pablo. Solid is familiar. Really, it feels like React done properly. Interesting. Okay, so I guess I need to find a reason to build something with it. Dr. Lobin shots. What do you mean side effects? So I guess what I mean by a side effect is I mean like something that either calls an API or delegates something happens that isn't directly related to the component, right? Like, I just want to test that the component handles inputs correctly, that it validates those inputs correctly. I don't actually want to test that it makes a request to the API and validates that the person is actually a valid user or anything like that. I still recommend starting small with Solid. The mental model does require a neuron flip. Okay, well that's good, because I think that would probably would have derailed my project even more than I've already been derailed. All right. Well, it's 7:30.
I'd like to say something.
A donation of $1,000 is pending.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
kidding. I am a poor bot and I have no money.
Did the AI just read that as $1,000? That was hilarious. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for my Friday morning on stream. I got to go get ready for work and see my family off to school and stuff. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Friday. And if it's Saturday for you, I hope you guys have an even better Saturday. And if you're new here, I guess I'll do my normal wrap-up stuff. If you're new here and you want to come back and hang out in the future, the best place to find us is on Twitch or YouTube from 4:15 to 7 a.m. almost every morning. Yeah, enjoy school. Yeah. See you, Rookley. And then if you want to talk outside the stream, the best place to find us is our Discord. It's just discord.stephenfreeborn.com. I put the link in the chat there as well, too. So you're welcome to join in there. Oh, I'm sorry, Uncle Pee-wee. That sucks about your laptop, man. You're going to be laptopless. It's about the worst thing you can be. All right. Let's see. Jamnik, would you consider collaboration via GitHub and PRs? Sure. For sure, man. Yeah. If you want to contribute something, happy to look at it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, y'all. Bye. Have a good weekend.